Hello, and welcome to Moon Whisper Sleep, where science meets slumber and the universe becomes a lullaby made of light. Perhaps today has been a long day, or perhaps you're someone who simply loves to let your mind drift into the night. Among distant planets, silent moons, and the fragile sound of a breathing cosmos. Wherever you come from, no matter how tired your mind may be, tonight, this journey is yours. Let your breath slow down. Let your thoughts dissolve like stardust scattering through the air. And let your body grow lighter as if gravity itself has loosened its hold, and you begin to float gently in the ocean of space. Tonight's journey, tonight, we'll cross the thin boundary between science and consciousness, where invisible waves carry not only data, but awareness. As you close your eyes, your brain emits a frequency of 8 Hz, the very same rhythm as the heartbeat of Earth, and the same vibration once sent back from Atlas, the cosmic eye above the red planet. We'll listen together. What happens when a planet begins to breathe? And when human consciousness resonates in harmony with that same pulse? Tonight, you'll learn why. DNA can glow like tiny crystals, why brainwaves can synchronize with a planet's magnetic field, and why every dream you see might just be the universe remembering itself through you. There's no rush. Nothing to understand right away. Just drift. Let the whispers of the stars guide you, and let the light seep into the deepest corners of your mind. We'll listen to the fragile winds from distant worlds, planets born from the same cloud of dust as Earth, where ancient light still travels through the dark, and where every world, every grain of dust, tells a story about time, life, and itself. Feel how the universe continues to move, quietly, vast, and patient. Every breath you take, it is a small rhythm within that grand symphony. And if you find your heart settling, if the stillness makes you smile, press subscribe and ring the little bell, so that each night, the universe can find its way back to you through the gentle whispers of Moon Whisper Sleep. And who knows, perhaps your small touch will become a signal, helping someone else awake at midnight. Discover this place, a place to rest, to learn, and to be softly cradled by the universe, one soul at a time. Now, take a deep breath in. Release everything that still clings to your day. And let me guide you through the layers of space, where we not only look at the universe, but see ourselves within its every motion. Take another deep breath. Let go of all that remains. Let your eyes close and imagine. Tonight, you are lying beneath the dome of an observatory, where the sky above stretches like a dark ocean filled with stars. Everything around you is silent, only the soft touch of wind against metal, and your heartbeat blends with the pulse of the cosmos. Far away, on the edge of our solar system, something moves, quietly, steadily, but not entirely by chance. They call it Atlas. At first, astronomers thought it was an ordinary comet, a frozen wanderer drifting among countless stars, like the millions that pass us every century. But Atlas was different. Its orbit did not follow the familiar Keplerian curves. It was as if something or someone had gently touched it, nudging its path, guiding it away from randomness, and steering it directly toward Mars with precision down to the second. Astronomers began to ask questions. Why was Atlas accelerating in space, where no significant gravity could push it? Why did its tail emit light at a frequency that matched no known element on Earth? And why, when tracing its orbit backward through thousands of years, did its origin align perfectly with a point the ancient Sumerians once called Nibiru, the star of the returning gods? As you breathe deeply, imagine it. In the thick darkness of space, a cold beam of light moving, like the steady breath of the universe itself. That light may have left its home long before humans learned to shape stone, long before the first fire burned in the night. And now, after millions of drifting years, it is returning, just as we begin to turn our lenses outward, searching for neighbors among the stars. Numbers never lie. When data from NASA came through, physicists noticed something unusual: the rate of CO2 escaping from Atlas's core. It was 40 times higher than that of an average comet. Its ice contained hydroxyl ions, a compound necessary to form liquid water under oxygenated conditions. And more than that, there were traces of silicon dioxide, a material often used in solar energy technology. All of this pointed to one simple yet terrifying possibility. Atlas was not a lifeless block of ice. It was a machine, a construct, designed with purpose, and it was performing its mission silently, flawlessly. If you pay close attention, you'll see that the universe never does anything meaningless. Everything has a rhythm, from the beat of a heart to the orbit of a planet. And within that grand rhythm, Atlas became a strange note, a sound from elsewhere, one that doesn't quite blend with the ordinary orchestra of space. Scientists called it an anomalous trajectory, but to those who love the sky, it was simply a call. As you lie there in silence, imagine yourself drifting through the void. No gravity, no sound, no time, only you and a small glowing object slowly passing through the endless dark. Its light isn't bright, but steady, like a heartbeat seeking another pulse to match. And sometimes people wonder, is Atlas searching for us? Or is it simply going home? In the ancient carvings of the Sumerians, symbols depict a star passing by Mars, then disappearing behind the sun, a cycle repeating every 3,600 years. Today, Atlas's orbit also takes exactly 3,600 years to complete. A coincidence, or proof that an ancient civilization once seen the very thing we are now witnessing? Archaeologists found inscriptions that read, "When the star of return appears, the gods shall awaken the red planet." And perhaps now that star has truly returned. Take a slow breath in. Feel the cool air move through your nose. Touch your lungs, and imagine you are breathing in sync with Mars, the place Atlas is heading toward. Telescopes have recorded strange changes in the planet's atmosphere. Thick CO2 streams forming in the upper layers, warming the surface by 5 degrees Celsius in just a few months. Brilliant flashes like electromagnetic storms spread from the poles. Scientists call these terraforming indicators, signs that a planet may be transforming, a phrase that sounds both scientific and poetic. If that is true, then Atlas is doing something humanity has never seen before, turning Mars into a place that can breathe. And as with all things in the cosmos, this transformation happens in absolute silence. No explosions, no blinding light, only the gentle awakening of a world beginning to open its eyes, like a dreamer just starting to wake. Physicists believe that Atlas may be carrying ancient microorganisms, dormant spores that have survived for millions of years in the vacuum of space. If it were to collide with Mars, it could sow life once more, following the panspermia hypothesis, the idea that life in the universe is not confined to Earth, but instead spreads like stardust from one world to another. Perhaps it was from those very grains of dust that we ourselves were born. And now, as we watch Atlas return, we are simply witnessing. The universe is sending back a fragment of its own memory. Imagine if the consciousness of the universe also had memory, like a human mind. Perhaps every star, every planet, it is a neuron within its vast cosmic brain. And sometimes objects like Atlas are nothing more than neural impulses, carrying messages between the centers of galactic intelligence, a kind of cosmic synapse where Mars and Earth are just two nerve cells inside the dreaming mind of the universe. And we, the observers, is that dream becoming aware of itself? As Atlas drifts through space, its light reflects upon the lenses of thousands of telescopes. And, in every corner of Earth, a pair of eyes looks up, a heart stirs, and a question arises. Are we the ones being observed? But instead of fear, let your mind rest. Because if there truly is an intelligence watching, perhaps it hasn't come to judge, but to awaken. Notice this. Even the word Atlas means the one who holds up the sky. In Greek mythology, Atlas was the Titan condemned to bear the heavens for eternity. And now, in modern astronomy, that same name belongs to an object carrying the weight of a cosmic message, one not spoken in words, but written in light, gas, and silence. As you listen to these words, release the tension in your shoulders, slow your breath, and imagine you are lying on the Martian desert, where soft winds sweep over crimson dunes. On the horizon, a faint light moves, as if a star were descending toward the ground. And in that moment, you can no longer tell where humanity ends and the universe begins. There is only one thing left clear. The universe is calling your name, because sometimes the calls that come from the darkness are not meant to frighten us, but to remind us that we have never been alone. Atlas is merely a mirror, reflecting the light we already carry within. And when we look up at it, it is the moment the universe looks back at us. Take a deep breath, feel your chest expand, and slowly exhale. You are hearing the breath of the universe, echoing through your own rhythm. And far away, Atlas continues its journey, a star gliding through silence, carrying the oldest question of every civilization. Are we truly alone in this universe? Perhaps Atlas does not bring an answer, but it carries something even more important: curiosity, the first spark of consciousness itself. And so, the red planet is awakening, Atlas is calling, and they are beginning to listen. Traces in ancient ash, as Atlas's light still flickers along the edge of Mars, Those dim glows in space seem to stir memories of something that once happened long ago, another turn of time, a completed cycle, now returning once more. No one can say exactly when history began to repeat itself, but within the ancient dust of Earth, there remain traces tiny, fragmented, yet as persistent as the breath of the cosmos, whispering the same story. In the land between two rivers, where humans first learned to record their thoughts. By carving marks upon clay, Sumerian scholars once wrote of gods who came from the sky. They called them Anunnaki, beings who carried the light of the stars, and with it, fear into human hearts. On those clay tablets, the cuneiform symbols form patterns of stars, aligned along the path of Sagittarius, and among them, one strange symbol repeats again and again, a small circle surrounded by 8 rays of light, the emblem of the red planet. Modern archaeologists, when analyzing the sediment that covered these tablets and discovered their age, matched a celestial cycle of 3,600 years, a period that the Sumerians believed marked the return of the gods when the wandering star drew close to the sun once again. Now, as telescopes trace Atlas's orbit, moving from Sagittarius toward Mars, astronomers can't help but feel a chill, because that same number, 3,600 years, has reappeared. How could ancient people, without telescopes, without understanding gravity, know of orbital cycles with such astonishing accuracy down to the millennium? A hypothesis emerged. First, just a flicker in the dark, that the Anunnaki were not merely symbols of faith, but the memory of humankind's real encounter with an intelligence from beyond our imagination. In the ancient rock layers of Turkey, near Göbekli Tepe, believed to be the first temple ever built, scientists discovered stone pillars carved with planets, arranged around a red star. When mapped, using astronomical software, the layout perfectly matched the positions of the planets in our solar system. At the moment, Atlas began its movement from the outer region of Sagittarius, an impossibility unless seen firsthand. And yet, somehow, people 12,000 years ago already knew. In a report by the European Institute of Astrophysics, scientists mentioned a phenomenon called cosmic memory, patterns of information encoded into human consciousness through electromagnetic interaction at the subatomic level. If that is true, then perhaps a fragment of our DNA still carries the memory of an ancient communication with the very origin of Atlas itself. Imagine a distant civilization existing before Earth was even formed, sent out seeds of information in the form of self-sustaining objects drifting through space for billions of years, waiting to meet the right conditions to trigger life. Objects like Atlas may be ancient instruments of cosmic seeding, designed to turn dead planets into worlds that can be lived on. The 8-to-1 ratio between CO2 and ice that scientists detected is not just random. It is a biochemically perfect formula for rebooting a climate cycle. If Atlas truly carries a batch of biosphere seeds, then Mars is preparing to enter a period of revival, a crimson awakening of a planet once believed to be dead. In a laboratory in Geneva, when researchers compared gas samples from Martian ice layers With simulated data from the tail of Atlas, they noticed molecules with asymmetric organic structure, a clear sign of biological-style molecular replication, something almost impossible to appear naturally in space, which means Atlas is not just a block of ice, it is a carrier of life, an ancient seed drifting through the winters of the universe to rekindle spring on Mars. In the dim red glow of the night sky, we can see a small point of light moving slowly through the constellation Pisces, a place the Babylonians, thousands of years ago, called the Gate of Rebirth. And now, as it appears again, you may feel a kind of quiet calm, as if the universe is breathing with you, and in each breath, there is the pulse of billions of years of evolution. Every atom in your body, every electron in your gaze, was once born in supernova explosions, and perhaps those very atoms once drifted through Atlas, once belonged to the same stream of energy. That is now awakening on Mars. From here, when you close your eyes, you can imagine this. On the surface of Mars, crystals of ice are slowly melting, tiny points of light falling like star seeds onto a dry and ancient ground. Space is still silent, but in that red dust, the first reactions of life are beginning to stir. Perhaps no one can hear it, but the universe is singing an old song, echoing from the dawn of creation, about seeds sent out to light up lonely worlds. And in that light, the old Sumerian stories about gods descending from the sky, about the red planet being prepared for their return, suddenly no longer feels like a simple myth. Under the light of Atlas, those legends become sleeping memories in the ashes. When we listen long enough and quietly enough, they begin to whisper again about repeating cycles, about the return of the red fire, and about the truth that perhaps humanity was never alone. Tonight, in the stillness between two breaths, let your mind drift. Imagine a thin beam of light moving through space, crossing billions of dark miles to awaken a sleeping planet. As the last light of space slowly sinks into the quiet of the night, we can still see the red planet, dreaming, a world that has slept for billions of years, now shifts, just slightly. Beneath its thick ice, the first thermal vibrations begin to move, like the ancient heartbeat of a creature about to wake. It is no longer just data, no longer just speculation. Every number measured from Atlas's orbit, it is now telling the story of revival. Observation stations around Mars's orbit have begun to record something unusual. The atmospheric pressure is slowly rising, parts per million of a Pascal, so small it almost seems meaningless. But in planetary physics, that is the mark of transformation. At the northern pole, layers of CO2 ice are melting, releasing trapped gas molecules. Held for millions of years, they rise, mix into the thin clouds, and scatter sunlight, creating a pale halo, a soft pink crown. People are calling it the first breath of the red planet. If you listen long enough, you can almost imagine its sound, the sound of atoms shifting after a long sleep inside, time itself. An exhale, soft, steady, rhythmic. When NASA released data from the MAVEN satellite, What shook the scientific community was not some dramatic image, but the speed of change. In only a few months, CO2 concentration in the lower atmosphere rose by 4%. Water vapor increased as well, and stranger still, the isotope ratio of 0.18 inches. The samples showed that this water did not come from Martian ice. It was external, as if something had brought it there. At that exact time, the tail of Atlas began shedding mass intensely. As it passed through 1.44 AU perihelion distance, thousands of tons of material were released, spreading around Mars. Like a shimmering veil, lightly charged molecules collided with Mars's weak magnetic field, glowing a deep red, a phenomenon astronomers call artificial aurora. And in that glow, Mars no longer looked like a dead planet. It looked self-luminous, like a body finding its bloodstream again. When we look at Mars, we're really looking into Earth's own past. Both once had oceans, rivers, rain, and wind. The only difference is this: Mars stopped halfway through evolution. No magnetic field, no thick atmosphere to hold on to water. But in the frozen crystals buried deep below, the chemical DNA of life is still there, silent, waiting for a spark. And that spark may be Atlas. Some biophysicists at Caltech have proposed a theory called the chemical memory hypothesis, that ancient organic molecules store information in the way they vibrate when they encounter the right input of energy. For example, plasma discharges from an object like Atlas. They can reboot like a strand of biological memory, opening again after being locked for billions of years. If that is true, then Atlas is not only terraforming a planet, it is reopening a cosmic memory, a biological backup that once existed in Mars's prehistoric age. Not long after, ESA and JAXA stopped releasing detailed data. Public images were reduced to faint infrared composites. No more close-up video feeds. Rumors began to spread that satellites had recorded a pulsing light beneath the thin atmosphere, a light that fluctuated in cycles like a planetary heartbeat. One anonymous scientist said, "If Mars is coming back to life, then that means life can be programmed," a sentence that sounded like metaphor. But it silenced the world, because if life can be programmed, who or what programmed it? October 2025. Telescopes recorded Mars shining 18% brighter than normal, something never before observed in modern history. People called it the Atlas reflection effect, but astrophysicists knew it wasn't just reflected light. Beneath the thin air, there was some form of energy reaction we have not yet defined. Some spectra showed the presence of nitrates and methane, key ingredients of biological cycling, and a question rose in everyone's mind: are we witnessing the birth of a living atmosphere, a new breath spreading into space? And at night, looking through the eyepiece, many said they felt as if they were looking at Earth, but in the far future, being gently repaired by someone. When scientists compared Atlas's perihelion date, the 29th of October 2025, historians were stunned. That date matched references in ancient Sumerian tablets, describing the day of return of those who carry the seeds of the sky. On those clay tablets, the symbol of the red planet is always paired with a double wing mark, which linguists believe represents travel between worlds. From a scientific view, it's coincidence. From a cosmic spiritual view, it is rhythm. Every 3,600 years, an object from Sagittarius passes into the inner solar system, touches Mars, and disappears. And each time, humanity enters a new phase of evolution, a leap in awareness, a spark in the collective mind. Perhaps Atlas is not only here to transform a planet, but to awaken us. Since Atlas approached Mars, the number of dreams involving red light has increased dramatically worldwide. Many people report seeing a city in the sky, towers of shimmering light, and an ocean reflecting a red-blue glow. Neuroscientists in Japan measured the brain frequencies of those dreamers, oscillating around 8 Hz, matching the Schumann resonance, the natural frequency formed between Earth and its ionosphere, as if human dreaming had synchronized with a planetary rhythm. Some call it consciousness synchronization, a sign that when another world awakens, human awareness expands to receive it. One morning, the Hubble telescope captured an image no one could forget. On the surface of Mars, a spiral of light appeared for only a few minutes, then vanished. When scientists analyzed its frequency, they found it wasn't optical noise. It had repeating logical structure, a patterned signal, like Morse code, but written in plasma light. The signal lasted exactly 3 minutes and 36 seconds. 3:36. A strange number, like a reminder of the 3,600-year cycle recorded by the Sumerians. No one knows if it was natural or a greeting, but that night, the sky all over the world glowed red, and humanity everywhere saw the same thing. In those nights of sleep, millions of people felt themselves drifting, not toward Mars, but inward. Ancient memories, unasked questions, seemed to dissolve in that soft red light. An old physicist in Chile said it felt like the universe was whispering something. Maybe Atlas has not only come to restart Mars, but to activate a sleeping layer within the human mind. We dreaming dust, are experiencing our own awakening. When Atlas moved away from perihelion, Mars glowed a soft crimson, pulsing gently like a steady heartbeat. Its thin yet thickening atmosphere began to resonate with Earth's faint magnetic field. Electromagnetic instruments recorded twin signals, 2 planets, 2 rhythms vibrating in unison. A musician in Finland converted the data into sound. Those who listened said they felt as if they were hearing their own voice, an echo returning from the far side of the universe. Then, Atlas slowly drifted away, leaving behind a pink halo stretching across space. Mars, now silent, but silence no longer meant death. It was life breathing slowly. In the nights that followed, when we looked up, we no longer saw a lonely planet, but a pair of gentle red eyes opening in the dark. And in that light, the universe seemed to whisper, Every planet has its own dream, and when it awakens, humanity changes. We once thought we were the observers, but perhaps we are part of the dream the red planet is seeing. As that world awakens, as Atlas dissolves like a final drop of light, something within human consciousness is also being triggered. Not fear, not possession, but a deep stillness, a place where we feel unmistakably that the universe is not cold. It is a body that breathes, and we are merely a soft inhalation within its vast chest. Take a deep breath and let yourself drift, because who knows, as you sleep, the red planet may also be smiling, quietly, gently, watching you sleep. As Mars begins to breathe, the entire universe seems to fall silent. Within that stillness, something spreads, a signal not of light, not of sound, but of memory, an ancient memory, crossing the void of billions of years, finding its way back into the human heart. Astrobiologists say, every atom in our bodies was once born in the core of a star. Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, the elements of life, are the remnants of supernovae from billions of years ago. But when Atlas passed and left behind fine dust around Mars, something strange was noticed. The carbon isotope composition in the comet's tail matched exactly that of the oldest organic material on Earth. Not just starborn, we may have come from the same dust. Some scientists call this a cosmic kinship. Others, more poetically, say, perhaps within our veins still flows a fragment of Mars's memory, the panspermia hypothesis. The seeding of life across planets is no longer mere science fiction. In 2024, a research group in Tokyo discovered that bacterial spores could survive cosmic radiation for millions of years, hidden inside meteorite rock. If such microbial seeds were once carried by Atlas, then perhaps life on Earth is only the next chapter of Mars. Imagine this. Billions of years ago, when the red planet still had rivers and oceans, the first primitive organisms formed there. Then, a massive impact occurred. Surface material blasted into space, carrying microscopic seeds of life. They drifted through the dark, fell to young Earth, and became us. So perhaps we don't merely look at Mars through telescopes. We are looking back at our ancient home in cold laboratories. Geneticists have discovered silent segments within human DNA, sequences that do not code for proteins, yet have been preserved through millions of generations. They are like sealed pages of a diary, carrying information humanity has yet to understand. A team at Cambridge University compared these DNA sequences with molecular structures simulated from cometary material. The result was astonishing. Part of the molecular pattern in Atlas's samples matched 7% of those silent human DNA strands. A statistical coincidence or a molecular memory? A place where life records the story of its own origin. If life was truly seeded from Mars, then every cell in your body, every heartbeat, every dream is how the universe remembers itself. There are nights when we dream of lands that do not exist, red seas, pale blue skies, and twin moons. Science calls it imagination. But if genetic memory exists, those dreams may be echoes from Mars's past. Neurobiologist Jane Milton once wrote, The human brain is like an ancient antenna, receiving frequencies from the planets that once gave us birth. As Atlas approached, the resonance between Mars's magnetic field and Earth's grew significantly stronger. Measurements showed that the Schumann resonance, Earth's natural electromagnetic pulse, vibrated around 8 Hz, the same frequency as the human brain during deep dreaming. Perhaps the dreams of humankind and the dreams of Mars are now breathing together. At the microscopic level, the human body communicates not only through electrical signals, but through light. Each cell emits thousands of photons per second, a phenomenon called biophoton emission. When scientists analyzed the spectral profile of human cells, they found an average wavelength of 620 nanometers, the same soft red hue as Mars seen from Earth. Coincidence? Or a reminder that the red planet's light still burns inside every one of our cells? Close your eyes and you can feel it, a tiny flame in your heart, not burning, but glowing warm. In 2032, NASA plans to bring back to Earth the first rock samples ever collected from the surface of Mars. But even now, the microscopic samples gathered by Perseverance have already left scientists in a long, stunned silence. Inside one sedimentary rock, there are microscopic spiral patterns, strikingly similar to the fossilized bacterial structures found in Greenland, dated 3.5 billion years old. If those spirals truly are biological remnants, then the origin of life on Earth may have begun on the very world we once called a dead planet. Rocks that can tell stories. They do not speak in words, they speak in shapes, just as DNA uses symbols to speak of memory. And now, as Mars awakens, those memories are beginning to breathe once more. Between the blue Earth and the red Mars, one holds breath, the other holds ashes. Yet both share the same formula. C, ash, O, N, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, the 4 characters in the symphony of life. As if the universe had written a poem using Mars as its draft and Earth as the finished verse. But perhaps this is not the final chapter. Perhaps the red planet is composing a new melody, and somehow we are hearing its rhythm within our very blood. On the peak of Atacama, the ALMA telescope recorded faint radio frequencies coming from the region near Mars, frequencies matching hydrogen radiation, the kind typically found in regions where new stars are born. But here, it appeared around an old planet. One astronomer said, perhaps the planet is rewriting its own past in the language of physics. It sounds poetic, but it is, in truth, a profound law. Every object in the universe stores memory in the form of energy, and when that energy shifts, the memory awakens. Atlas did not just warm Mars, it warmed the memory of the universe. Quantum physicists once said that at the deepest level, there is no boundary between the observer and the observed. Each time we look toward Mars, a part of our own energy changes. When we gaze at it with curiosity, it gazes back at us in its own way. And perhaps the awakening of Mars is merely a reflection of something happening within us. the rebirth of consciousness. As that planet revives, human awareness expands, beyond the boundary of flesh, touching the infinity, breathing between the stars. There is one thing science cannot record on a graph, cannot measure in data: silence. That silence spread across the sky the moment the red planet began to breathe. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of a mind awakening. That night, the telescopes still worked, the instruments still captured data, but within those cold streams of numbers, something gentle had changed. A slower rhythm, a deeper breath, a feeling as if the universe were watching itself. A psychology team at Stanford University conducted an experiment. They showed volunteers recent images of Mars: soft pink light, thin atmosphere, fading sky. The goal: to measure physiological response. The result was unexpected. The viewers' heart rates gradually synchronized, down to around 60 beats per minute, a rhythm typical of deep meditation, not from fear, not from excitement, but from peace. It seemed that simply looking at the red planet caused the human mind to slow, to fall into another rhythm, a frequency we once knew, but long ago forgot. When Atlas drifted away, a thin ribbon of light remained around Mars, like the halo of a candle about to fade. Observation stations described it as a magnetic resonance phenomenon. But to those who watch with the heart, it was the image of two planets in harmony: Earth and Mars, two souls once distant, now touching through light. When two frequencies oscillate in phase, their combined energy doubles. Perhaps that is what's happening between us and the red planet. A subtle union, silent but profound. More and more people are feeling a quiet urge to listen to silence. They leave cities, travel into the mountains, turn off their phones, and look up at the red sky. No one tells them to. There is no message, no instruction, only a feeling that they need to stop. In that stillness, many say they feel something rare, a gentle energy passing through their bodies, like warm wind brushing the skin, then dissolving, leaving behind a sense of safety, as if embraced by something unseen. It may be a biological response, but it may also be the touch of the universe. When humans speak of awakening, they often think of new knowledge, new understanding, but perhaps awakening is not learning something new. It is remembering something ancient. Like Mars, which received no new energy, it simply reawakened the power that had slept within its own soil. So it is with us. Every time we gaze into the night sky, every time our hearts tremble before wonder, it is the ancient memory in our DNA, the memory that we came from the stars. No one can hear the sound, yet quantum physicists say that every atom in space vibrates softly, and the average frequency of that vibration is the tone of existence itself. If you listen carefully within silence, you can sense it, a faint, low hum, not outside your ears, but within your being. It is the voice of the universe, and it speaks only one truth: everything is awakening, including you. A philosopher once wrote, "When a planet awakens, it does not awaken only itself, but also the souls that once belonged to it." Perhaps Atlas is not a messenger, but the bell of the cosmos, a resonant chime echoing through space, awakening the memory of the red planet and the consciousness of humankind. We can hear that bell, not through our ears, but through a subtle tremor in the chest, a voiceless invitation, yet one that everyone somehow feels. Awaken, not to act, but to perceive, to remember that you are part of something vast, something breathing beyond the stars. The cosmos whispers not to awaken the mind, but to remind the soul that it has never been asleep. As the red planet stabilized, its light no longer blazed, but softened, like a floating red mist suspended in space. Telescopes orbiting Earth began detecting another kind of light, light that carried rhythm as if it were singing. In the silent Milky Way, light is the one language that never fades, and perhaps the cedars of the universe chose light itself as the vessel through which to send the seeds of life. When you look up at the night sky, every ray of light reaching your eyes is an ancient message, sent thousands, even millions of years ago. Light is not just energy, it carries information. Within each photon may lie a symbol, a vibration, a way for the universe to speak to itself. I am still expanding. Quantum physicists have discovered that a single photon can preserve its quantum state in multiple locations at once, carrying traces of the place where it was born. And if life truly began with light, then perhaps every living being is a memory made visible. More than 4 billion years ago, Earth was merely a cooling sphere of molten rock. Then came water vapor, rain, oceans. But water was only a mirror, nothing yet to reflect within it. It was light from comets, like Atlas, carrying the first organic molecules that fell into those oceans. When that light touched the water, it triggered the first reaction of life, a gentle oscillation between carbon and nitrogen molecules, creating the first pulse of existence. From that moment, light became the silent gardener. It traveled everywhere, unbound by planet or time. Whenever it met water, rock, or warmth, it would awaken again and plant new seeds. In the data archives on Atlas, astronomers discovered an unusual spectral pattern, a sequence of flickering light. In the ratio 1.618, the golden ratio, the number that appears in every natural form, from flower petals to seashells, from galaxies to DNA. No one knows whether it's coincidence or the signature of an ancient intelligence. Perhaps the cedars were not physical beings at all, but intelligences of light, forms of consciousness without bodies, traveling through photons, like fragrance moving on wind. If they ever existed, they never needed to fly to any planet. They only needed to send light and let light do the rest. Every living creature on Earth knows how to turn toward light. From the sprouting seed reaching upward to the green algae drifting in the sea, no one taught them. It is the deepest memory, the memory that life began with light. Biologists call it phototropism, the tendency to grow toward light. But through the lens of consciousness, it is cosmic nostalgia. For within every cell is a fragment of the soul of the first photon, still calling back to the place where it was born. And each time you close your eyes under sunlight, feeling warmth spread across your skin, It is not merely heat. It is the gentle greeting of the cosmos, a touch of light, reminding you that you are still a seed of a star. Recently, quantum biologists discovered a strange phenomenon. DNA can emit and receive light. The double helix molecules act as biological antennas, releasing photons in the 260 nanometer range. When two separate DNA samples are exposed to the same frequency of light, they begin to synchronize their oscillations, like two instruments playing the same note. This led many to believe that light is the language life uses to speak with itself. Perhaps the ancient cedars needed no machines, only light, encoding genetic information into photons and letting them drift through the void until they found a place warm enough to bloom. When astronomers mapped energy across the Milky Way, they found high-energy light bands arranged in spiral formations, shaped like an enormous DNA strand, stretching thousands of light years long. Coincidence or a galactic signature? A map left by the cedars from the beginning of time? If that is true, then every star, every planet, is a cell within the grand body of the universe, and light is the bloodstream flowing through it all. Since Atlas approached, the population of cyanobacteria, Earth's oldest living organisms, has risen dramatically in the North Pacific. Scientists measured their light absorption frequency and found it identical to the reflected light from Mars, as if Earth were answering a call, not with words, but with life, with green, with breath. Perhaps the cedars designed the universe as a wordless symphony where every planet is a note, and when one begins to sing, the others resonate in harmony. Many people now say they dream of light, not blinding, but slow-moving light, soft as breath. In those dreams, light drifts through space, falling upon worlds, and each time it touches the ground, a tiny star blossoms in the dark. It may be nothing more than imagery from the subconscious, but neuroscientists have found that when humans dream of light, the brain emits alpha waves, the very waves that help the body heal itself, as if light were already doing its work within the mind. Science says this: when a photon touches the retina, it doesn't only form an image, it triggers an electrochemical cascade that creates our awareness of the external world. But what if consciousness doesn't begin in the brain? What if it begins in the light itself? Maybe we don't just see light. Maybe we are light recognizing itself in the mirror of existence. So when you look up at the night sky, you're not only looking at stars, you're looking at the seeds of light that you yourself were once part of. Billions of years ago, as the echo of the Big Bang was settling, the universe was flooded with dust, light, and energy. No form, no sound, only a pulse. Within that pulse, each vibration of energy was a seed, and time was the soil it was planted in. Physicists call this the primordial quantum fluctuation, the first trembling that gave rise to matter. But if you look with the eyes of meditation, it is the first breath of the universe. As that breath spread, it sowed billions of stars, billions of planets, and billions of possible lives. Space gives us a place to be. Time gives us the chance to grow. A single beam of light leaves its parent star and may travel for millions of years before reaching a world that can support life. Along the way, it can scatter, bend, be absorbed. But if it arrives at the precise moment, the moment that world is ready, that light does more than illuminate. It plants. Just as a seed needs rain, light needs ripened time. That is why life does not appear by accident. It appears on time. Earlier, we saw this. The ancient Sumerians spoke of a 3,600-year cycle, the return of the bringers of the seeds of heaven. Modern astronomy has noticed something similar. 3,600 years is also close to the recurrent cycle of several major comets, including Atlas. On the surface of Mars, ice melts, gases escape, everything begins to shift, on schedule with that old calendar. So perhaps Atlas did not arrive randomly. Perhaps it arrived in season, a cosmic season, where a seed of light meets a patch of time that is finally ready. There is something strange in nature. Some seeds on Earth can sleep for thousands of years, then suddenly germinate the moment the conditions are right. Science calls this seed dormancy. But at the cosmic level, every seed, whether photon, atom, or DNA, has that same instinct. They wait, without rushing, without despair. They simply rest inside the body of time until the rhythm of the universe shifts. And when that moment comes, they awaken as if they had never slept. Inside every human cell, there are regions of DNA that do not switch on. Science once called them junk genes. But the more we study them, the more we understand they are not useless. They are not yet. When the environment changes, light, heat, magnetic fields, they begin to activate like seeds after the first rain. It may be that within each of us, ancient codes still exist, waiting for a signal from the red planet or from the light of Atlas itself to unlock abilities humanity has not yet known. If you imagine the universe as a garden, then every planet is a patch of soil and every comet is a passing sower. Not every seed germinates. Sometimes it drifts. Sometimes it becomes dust. But sometimes it falls in the right place at the right moment. That is when life begins. Not as a miracle, but as the precision of the cosmic rhythm. Modern physics says that time is not fixed. It can bend, stretch, compress, under gravity, under velocity, under consciousness. That means if a cosmic intelligence wants to plant life somewhere, it doesn't have to travel through space. It can simply alter the tempo of time in that place. Like resetting a clock, it can tune the flow of reality so that the planet arrives at its germination season. Perhaps Atlas is the instrument that does this. A massive fragment of time moving between worlds, carrying the universe's spring. After Atlas arrived, neuroscientists recorded something unusual. The human experience of time began to shift. Some people said days felt faster. Others said nights felt longer. But all of them felt that time had become thicker, as if more was happening. Inside each instant, physicists suggested that the space-time field around Earth might be gently oscillating under wave influence from Mars. Those who practiced deep meditation said something else. Time isn't changing. We are finally sensing it. Before a seed can rise, it has to rest in darkness. not to hide, but to absorb energy from silence. Life on Earth was the same. Before it could ignite, it had to pass through long, ancient nights. Perhaps Atlas did not only bring light, perhaps it also brought the darkness required for the seed of time to activate. Because in darkness, the universe performs its most miraculous work. It nourishes. Human evolution, from primitive to civilized, is also a process of waiting. Each step, each invention, each new layer of awareness only appears when humanity is truly ready to understand it. Not earlier, not later, and perhaps this moment, with Mars awakening and the light of Atlas washing across the solar system, is the season in which humanity itself is entering a germination of consciousness. A physicist once said, "Time is not a river, it is a flower. Every passing second does not vanish. It unfolds a new petal. When you remember the past, you're stepping into an older petal. When you dream of the future, you're touching a petal not yet open." The cedars understand this. They do not travel through time. They walk between petals, planting rays of patient light, so that millions of years later, when the conditions are ripe, life blooms again, and the universe gains a new song. Nothing in the universe is ever truly lost. No moment truly passes. Everything is simply waiting to be recognized. Time is not a thief. Time is the most patient gardener. It holds every seed within itself, until each seed, each dream, each soul is warm enough to sprout again. And perhaps tonight, as you close your eyes, in that silence, a single particle of light is falling into you, a seed of time, a gentle invitation from the universe, saying, "There is no need to hurry. Your spring will come." In recent nights, as observation stations continue to track Mars, something has changed in the numbers. Not in brightness, not in motion, in rhythm. A subtle rhythm, almost impossible to see, but repeating, steady, like the breath of an enormous living being. No one knows when it began, but many scientists now agree there is an intelligence directing this process, an unseen hand, leaving no fingerprints, yet present in every motion of the cosmos. At first glance, the universe looks like a sea of chaos, stars exploding and fading, galaxies spiraling, matter tearing and reforming. But beneath it all, there is a secret order. Physicists call it the cosmic fractal structure, a geometry that repeats at every scale, from atomic particles to clusters of galaxies. Zoom in close enough or pull back far enough, and you see the same pattern, as if someone programmed the universe to weave itself, a pattern both perfect and alive. That order is not random. It feels like the fingerprint of an invisible sower. Humans are used to thinking that intelligence requires a brain, a body, a voice. But in space, perhaps intelligence does not need a body at all. Perhaps it exists as a field of energy, a web of invisible waves, connecting everything to everything. A physicist at CERN once said, "If consciousness is energy, then it never disappears. It only changes form." If that is true, then there may exist a cosmic consciousness, spreading everywhere, like wind with no shape, and yet able to move through all things. And when those currents meet a world that is ready, they do not simply pass over it. They plant life. Astronomers at the University of Amsterdam, while analyzing dark matter maps, found that the universe looks almost exactly like the human brain. Clusters of galaxies, linked by filaments of gas and energy. Mirror. Neurons, linked by synapses. A vast neural network. Each star, an impulse, each planet, a memory cell. If so, the universe is not just physical space. It is a mind, thinking itself, in the language of stars. When a star explodes, it is not death. It is a neural signal spreading through the body of the universe, transmitting information, adjusting, and continuing creation. In nature, nothing is wasted. When one planet loses life, another begins. When one star fades, another unfolds. A perfect cycle. No mistakes. Only the subtle self-correction of a system that knows itself. Biologists call it auto-regulation. Physicists call it reverse entropy. Those who sit in meditation call it the invisible hand of life. A hand that doesn't command, only touches gently, and everything understands where it needs to go. In recent years, while decoding DNA, scientists realized something. The structure of the human genetic sequence follows a mathematical logic very close to binary code. 0 and 1, off and on, like a program running on a computer, but not written by humans. Some researchers suggest that the origin of life itself may be an ancient program, written in the language of light and stored inside biological matter. If that is true, then each of us is part of the universe's software, and the invisible hand is the coder. Have you ever wondered why the sun and the moon, a massive sphere of plasma and a small rocky satellite, appear almost the same size in our sky? The probability of that, it is nearly zero. And yet, without that coincidence, events like solar eclipses, which ignites curiosity and pushes the evolution of awareness, would never happen. Perhaps such coincidences is the language the invisible hand uses to speak to humanity, not through spoken words, but through precise arrangements. In ancient times, that invisible hand was called God, Source, Tao. Today, quantum physics calls it the unified field. The deeper we go, the clearer it becomes. All forces, from gravity to electromagnetism, from the weak force to the strong force, may be different expressions of a single central consciousness. And in meditation, the human brain begins to align with the vibration of that field. Brain waves slow, their frequency sinking with the Earth's Schumann resonance, then syncing with the oscillation of hydrogen. The first element and the first letter. In the universe's language, the invisible hand does not create everything and then vanish. It allows consciousness to become the next hand. When humans think, that thought is an energy vibration. When millions of humans think about life, the universe senses it and responds. That is why, in eras when humanity expands its trust, its willingness to believe in possibility, great scientific discoveries appear. As if the invisible hand were saying, I only work with those who still know how to dream. After Mars's atmosphere thickened, something strange happened. Electromagnetic waves from its surface began to synchronize with signals coming from Earth. Two worlds, separated by hundreds of millions of kilometers, ringing at the same frequency. Scientists were confused, but to those who feel deeply, this was proof of human consciousness. It is being reconnected to the cosmos. Mars is not only being reborn, it is becoming a mirror of humanity's mind. No one can see that hand, but everyone can feel its result. A dead planet beginning to live again. A civilization whose heartbeat is changing. A spreading sense of synchrony. Philosophers call this cosmic reconnection. Dreamers say, maybe the cedars aren't out there. Maybe they're sitting inside us, guiding everything through faith and love. No force can coerce life to bloom. Only gentleness can. The universe knows this. Instead of pressure, it uses lullabies. It uses slow light, stellar winds, and time, like a gardener who would never yank a sprout, but only gives it dew, one drop at a time. That is how the invisible hand works. Never hurried, never mistaken, only touching softly and letting everything grow on its own. If you look closely, every coincidence, every breath, every flicker of light, they are all parts of the same hand. When you breathe, when a planet breathes, when a star explodes and births a new star, it is one continuous movement of cosmic intelligence. And if you become quiet enough, you'll notice that hand has never left you. It is the universe's heartbeat in your chest, the light in your cells, the warmth inside every dream. When we look up at the night sky, we think the universe is silent, but in truth, it is speaking in the oldest, purest language that needs no sound. Light. Every star, every grain of dust, every cell in your body still knows how to speak that language. It is only humans, drowned in the noise of the world, who sometimes forgets that we once understood. Light is the only thing in the universe with no rest mass. It keeps moving. It never stops. And because it has no mass, it knows no boundary. It can move through metal, through water, through empty space, and through thought. Yes, in quantum physics, human consciousness can influence the behavior of photons. When we observe, the photon changes direction. When we do not observe, it returns to a wave, as if light were whispering to us, "I know you're here." The universe replies, not with words, but with subtle adjustments in each particle of light. If someone were to send a message across thousands of light years, they wouldn't use sound. They wouldn't use written symbols. They would use wavelengths. Each wavelength is a letter. Each oscillation is a sentence. Astronomers call this the electromagnetic language. From fierce gamma rays to gentle radio waves, each band carries its own emotion. Gamma rays, the language of creation and destruction, where stars explode and the universe renews itself. Visible light, the language of life, understood alike by human eyes and green leaves. Infrasound and infrared, the language of warmth, where living things first feel love. If light is the voice of the universe, then every frequency is a shade of feeling. In the darkness of a laboratory, something strange happens. Living cells emit a faint glow, too weak for the naked eye, but visible to photonic instruments. It is called biophoton emission, biological light. Each cell talks to another cell by sending and receiving tiny photons. They don't use words, they use pulses of light. A healthy body is one in which the cells sing in the same frequency. When that frequency drifts, the body falls into disorder. And meditation, breathing, love, all of them guide the body back to its original photonic harmony. You could say that in our depths, we are luminous beings who know how to love. Light doesn't just travel, it remembers. A photon can store quantum information about its state, its direction, and even its past interactions, which means light remembers the places it has passed through. When you look at a star, the light you're seeing left thousands of years ago, carrying the memory of the moment that star was still breathing. You are not only seeing light, you are looking into the past. Perhaps that is why we feel peaceful beneath the night sky, because within that light we recognize our own memory, fragments of soul that once wandered between the stars. German biophysicist Fritz Albert Popp found that DNA inside the cell nucleus acts like an ultra-fine fiber optic cable, sending and receiving light. Each gene is not just a chemical script, it is a band of light with its own frequency. When life forms, DNA begins to sing, and the body develops, according to that light song. If the body is a symphony, light is the conductor. Each photon sent into DNA is an instruction, and DNA responds with a slight twisting motion, a tiny, precise dance. In each beat of that dance, life is written. Many astronomers believe that if another civilization exists, they would speak using light, not radio signals, but ultra-pure laser pulses, tuned with precision, down to trillionths of a second. And perhaps we have already received some of those letters of light without realizing it, because to understand the language of light, machines alone are not enough. Consciousness is required. When the mind becomes still enough, you can hear light, not with the ear, but with cosmic intuition, the feeling you get when every cell in you resonates at once. Emotion is also a kind of vibration. When we are joyful, our brain waves and heartbeat synchronize at higher frequencies, like the warm brightness of sunrise. When we are sad, the frequency drops, like moonlight fading in mist. Light and emotion, they are directly linked. When light changes, the mood changes, but also when consciousness changes, the light around us changes color. Quantum physicists have measured that an intention of love emits an energy field that alters the reflective spectrum of the air surrounding the body. In other words, emotion is a form of light with its own rhythm. So love is not a sentence, it is the light you radiate from within. The universe does not send emails, does not use spoken language. It teaches us with light. When we are willing to look, light shows us form. When we are willing to think, light shows us time. And when we are willing to listen, light shows us ourselves. Those who have watched the night sky long enough all say they feel the universe is teaching them how to be silent, because only when we are still can we hear the voice of light. Light does not shout, it whispers. In sleep experiments, when a faint red light is projected onto the eyelids of someone dreaming, their brain automatically generates images of sunsets, star fields, or fire. Light does not only act on the eyes, it touches the deeper layers of the subconscious. Researchers believe that light is the common language between the conscious and the unconscious. And when we dream, we are actually rereading the messages of light. The universe has been sending us all our lives. Maybe those dreams of falling stars, of glowing oceans, of open fields under moonlight are not imagination, but the universe's memory, retold in its own language. Every time we look at the sky, we are not only seeing, we are being seen. Light reflects in our eyes, then returns to space. As an answer, according to the principle of quantum reflection, when a photon touches the retina, it changes the quantum state, and that information propagates outward, back into the universe. This means every time we look at a star, the universe also knows that a living being is looking at it. A silent conversation, stretching across millions of light years. Light moves faster than anything in the universe, but it never boasts. It does not keep itself for itself. It shares itself everywhere. When it meets water, it splits into a rainbow. When it meets mirrors, it reflects. When it meets darkness, it does not argue. It simply enters and turns night into dawn. Maybe that is the greatest lesson. The language of light is trying to teach us. Shine without consuming. Radiate without taking. We tend to believe light comes only from the Sunday, but in truth, light also comes from an awakened heart. Every kind thought, every deep breath, every second you look at someone with compassion releases a gentle photon which drifts outward and joins the music of the stars. And perhaps, somewhere very far away, someone is lying in the dark, listening to that music, thinking it is the lullaby of the universe, not knowing that was the light you just sent. The universe speaks in light, and humanity answers with its heart. When light travels far enough, it begins to sing, not in sound waves your ears can hear, but in oscillation, the frequency of life. Everything in the universe, from atoms to galaxies, resonates with its own music. And when those frequencies layer together, the universe becomes an endless symphony of existence. In physics, light and sound are two different kinds of waves. One travels through a vacuum, one needs a medium. But at the quantum level, they are simply two ways. The universe tells the same story. Light carries information, sound carries emotion, and when light touches matter, it makes particles vibrate, which creates sound. That means every time a star flares, the universe plays a note, an invisible song, slow, deep, older than all languages. NASA once recorded sound waves emitted from the Perseus black hole. They echoed like brass instruments across hundreds of millions of years. But strangely, within those ultra-low frequencies, there was a repeating structure, almost like the melody of a song. Perhaps the universe has always been singing, and we are only just beginning to learn how to listen. In ultra-small experiments, when researchers measure electron motion around a nucleus, each electron vibrates like a tiny string. That oscillation frequency, it is the mechanical sound of the atom. If we could magnify the quantum world, we would hear the universe ringing like an orchestra. From this, physicists proposed string theory, the idea that everything, matter, energy, time, consciousness, it is made of vibrating strings at different frequencies. You, me, the stars. We are all like the same kind of music, just played in different keys. And if that is true, then all life, on Earth or anywhere else, is singing the same composition, each in its own tone. Astronomers have recorded this. Saturn hums like a harp. Jupiter sighs like wind passing over a cosmic drum. And Earth, soft as breath, resonates at 7.83 Hertz. That frequency is called the Schumann resonance. It is the heartbeat of the planet. And, in a quiet coincidence, it is the same frequency that appears in the human body during deep meditation, which means when we become still, we are not just relaxing, we are tuning to Earth's song, just as a child in the womb hears the mother's heartbeat and feels safe. Human beings are soothed by the pulse of the planet. Life does not just listen to music, it is music. Trees bend themselves to the frequency of wind. The human heart beats at roughly 1 Hertz. The brain creates alpha, beta, theta, and delta waves, each one a note in the score of awareness. Biologists have even converted DNA data into sound. When translated, the sequence A, T, G, C sounds like an ancient composition, melodic, symmetrical, hauntingly beautiful. Perhaps creation wrote the first music into the genetic code itself. And our bodies, it's simply a song that light began composing billions of years ago. If you've ever meditated in silence, there is a moment when you hear a soft inner humming. It's not an illusion. It is the vibration of the living current itself. Many physicists believe that human consciousness also emits waves, real oscillations, that can influence subtle forms of matter. When millions of people hold attention on the same intention, that frequency resonates and spreads into the planet's energy field, which means that when you pray, the universe truly hears you, not through words, through rhythm. After Atlas began the process of rebuilding Mars's atmosphere, radio wave stations detected a low background signal, almost like a steady, resonant hum, very similar to Earth's Schumann resonance, but at nearly 3 times the frequency. The scientific community called it the red tone. The red tone, it was not noise. It carried rhythmic structure, as if the red planet were singing with the newborn atmosphere of its own making. A dead planet, learning to breathe, then to sing. And as Mars sang, that sound blended with Earth's rhythm, forming the first duet between 2 worlds with consciousness. Cosmic sound does not come from far away. It is already within us, because every atom in the body was once stardust, and every beat of the heart It was once a pulse in the music of the galaxy. When we become silent, we do not lose sound. We return to the original harmony. In that moment, the human being is no longer small, but becomes a single note. In the cosmic orchestra, a small note, yes, but irreplaceable. Perhaps the cedars between the stars do not use words, do not use hands, but use sound to awaken life. Every frequency, every vibration, it is a message. Remember, you are part of this song. And when humanity learns to listen with the heart, the universe will sing louder, because then the music has found someone to sing with it again. There is a truth few people know. The human body emits light not as a metaphor, but as a physical phenomenon that can be measured. In the absolute dark laboratories of Kyoto University, Japanese biologists once placed cameras 1,000 times more light sensitive than the human eye, and they saw that the human body glows with a faint aura. That light is invisible to the naked eye, but it exists, fluctuating at a few hundred photons per second, per square centimeter of skin. It follows a day-night cycle, strongest in the late afternoon, fading as the body drifts into sleep. And it is not heat. It is biological light biophoton emission, a product of life itself, just like breathing or heartbeat. Fritz Albert Popp, a German physicist, was the first to use a dark chamber in the 1,970 seconds to measure photons emitted from human cells. He found that cells emit and receive light as a way to communicate. Each cell is like an ultra-tiny bulb, releasing extremely weak light pulses that carry precise information about the body's state. These photons are not chaotic. They have structure, a delicate quantum order Popp called the light of life. When the body is healthy, that light is stable, gently rhythmic. When under stress or illness, the light becomes disordered, like a radio signal filled with static. This led Popp to ask, could DNA not only store genetic information, but also act as the body's antenna for light? Decades later, laboratories at NASA Biolab, Stanford University, and the Max Planck Institute for International Biology confirmed DNA truly can absorb, store, and emit photons. When the double helix is excited by energy, it releases ultra-weak light, a sequence of pulses like the Morse code of the universe. The more we observe, the more we see that light does not just pass through us, it lives in us. Every cell, every neural synapse emits tiny particles of light, and in moments of deepest awareness, that light activity spikes suddenly like a small internal supernova. On the International Space Station, NASA once carried out an unusual experiment with Photobacterium phosphoreum, a naturally bioluminescent bacterium. When exposed to cosmic radiation, the samples began to alter their protein structure, glowing brighter, more evenly, and, strangely, with clearer informational patterns. Cosmic rays did not just induce mutation, they appeared to trigger a kind of light-based biological self-organization. This sparked a bold hypothesis. Could life on Earth, including us, have formed, developed, and evolved under the direct influence of cosmic light? NASA astronauts have reported a strange phenomenon in space. When they close their eyes, they still see flashes, like tiny fireworks flickering in their vision. No one understood why, until scientists confirmed that high-energy cosmic particles pass through the eye, directly stimulating retinal cells. This means we are living in an ocean of invisible light, where every photon collides with DNA, and sometimes rewrites the story of life. Solar radiation, gamma rays, neutrinos, these are not just distant physical data points. They are energy streams, shaping biological evolution on Earth. Millions of years ago, cosmic rays altered primitive RNA strands, pushing them beyond random chemistry, towards structures capable of self-replication. Light did not merely illuminate life, it created life. Today, NASA's optical sensors can measure biological light in plants, animals, and humans alike. They discovered every living thing glows, each in its own way. Marine algae emit blue light. Deep-sea sharks carry an electric blue aura. Humans, our light is nearly colorless, hovering in the visible range of 400 and 8700 nanometers, but 1,000 times dimmer than the threshold of naked vision. When that light is amplified under special conditions, for example during deep meditation, when heartbeat and breath fall into synchrony, photon detectors record an unusual surge. A normal body can shine up to 20 times brighter for a few minutes. There is nothing mystical about this. It is simply the physics of life. Every molecule in the body vibrating at perfect resonance. If we could magnify a single cell to the size of a planet, we would see within it tiny suns, emitting energy, absorbing energy, together forming a biological galaxy. Every thought, every emotion is a variation in that light. When a person is joyful, their body produces serotonin and endorphins. These molecules activate the mitochondria, where photons are released. Light rises. When we are afraid or sorrowful, photon emission falls, and the whole body sinks into a microshade of dimness. We have always been shining. We simply haven't yet learned how to see it. Perhaps the next step in human evolution is not biological, but the awareness of the light within ourselves. As NASA once wrote in the 2034 report, Biophotonics and Consciousness, if light is the language of life, then consciousness may be life learning to speak back in that same language. When the body understands that it is made of light, it is no longer separate from the universe. It simply becomes one rhythm in the ocean of energy, a small star that can think. And so, when you close your eyes tonight, know that your body is not sinking into darkness. It is glowing, soft, steady, honest, like every living thing that has ever existed. You cannot see that light, but the universe can, because it is a piece of the ancient light that began all of this. Once the light within the body was confirmed, scientists began asking a new question. If cells emit light, then does the brain, the place where consciousness is formed, glow in its own way? That question sounded poetic, but at the Max Planck Institute for Systems Biology, they proved that the human brain truly emits photons, not light as a metaphor for intelligence. but literal particles of light born from neuron activity. In a 2010 experiment, German biologist Johann Reiter placed quantum light sensors around the mouse brain tissue. Each time a neuron fired an electrical signal, the sensors recorded an extremely faint light pulse, and, astonishingly, those pulses traveled along the axon, as if light itself. We are part of the neuron's language. Later, a team at Harvard Medical School used ultra-sensitive cameras to image human neural tissue. Under induced activation, they observed light propagating along neuron fibers similar to fiber optic cables. The speed of this photon transmission, it was nearly 1/10 the speed of light in a vacuum. The scientific community began calling this biophotonic transmission, photon-based biological communication. The human body not only talks with electricity and chemistry, it also speaks with quantum light. Each neuron acts like an ultrafine optical cable, sending electrical signals, while simultaneously sending packets of photons containing even more delicate information, vibrations that science has still not been fully decoded. Perhaps this is why our thoughts, memories, and emotions all have the quality of lighting up and then going dark, in the most literal sense of those words. Some have tried to verify this in their own way. In the Space Biology Division's 2029 research program on the effects of cosmic radiation on the nervous system, astronauts were fitted with photon sensors around their skulls while in orbit. The results showed that the human brain glows more brightly in a zero-gravity environment. Photon emission increased by an average of 12%, especially in the prefrontal cortex, the region related to memory and cognition. A hypothesis was proposed: when separated from Earth's gravitational field, the flow of cerebrospinal fluid and cellular electrical potentials change, stimulating photon emission, as if light were being released from the heavy shell of a planet. The story may sound like science fiction, but every piece of data is measurable. In 2032, Professor Lian Zhou's team at Peking University proved that photons in the brain are not only emitted, but selectively absorbed. A neuron can hear light emitted by another neuron if their wavelengths match. This phenomenon is called biophotonic coherence, the resonance of biological light. It allows distant regions of the brain to synchronize, without any physical connection. That may explain why, at times, we know something before reason has time to analyze it. The brain can illuminate itself, and information travels through channels beyond conventional electrochemical networks. In orbit, when astronauts see flashes of light, even with their eyes closed, it is not only radiation passing through the retina, it is the brain reacting to light at the quantum level. Some NASA neurophysicists suggest that each flash they see in the darkness of space could be the trace of a photon that has traveled for billions of light years, and somehow the human brain still recognizes it. This raised a question: could consciousness itself be an optical phenomenon, an interference pattern between energy and information, like a laser, both wave and particle? Scientists call this the quantum consciousness hypothesis, the idea that consciousness is the result of light interference at the cellular level. Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff once proposed that microtubules inside neurons act as quantum interference centers, and that biophotonic light is the carrier of information between them. If that is true, then every thought, every dream, it is a reconfiguration of light within the brain. Consciousness is no longer static. It is a photon dance, a subtle biological oscillation where physics and biology become one. In 2035, NASA and ESA launched the Neural Light Imaging Project, using miniature quantum telescopes to record real-time biophotonic activity inside the living human brain. When a person thinks, they saw light spreading like stars across the brain's map, and when that person remembers, old clusters of light flare again, like a galaxy reawakening in the dark. Researchers called that moment the neural aurora, the aurora borealis of the human mind. Every thought is a stream of light, and every person is a universe, shining to understand itself. Though these findings are still under verification, they open a compelling hypothesis. If the brain can generate and direct light, then consciousness might be a form of energy that propagates through space, not like radio waves, but as a fine quantum field, interwoven with the biophotonic structure of every living organism. This perspective also reshapes how we view intuition. Perhaps it is not a vague feeling, but a resonance, a subtle interference of biological light between brains vibrating in harmony, and when you close your eyes, faint photons still move beneath the skull, like streams of tiny stars, drifting through a dense black cosmos. Your brain, though silent, is still shining, still communicating, in the language understood by all living things, light. Perhaps that very light is the bridge between human and cosmos, between neuron and star, between thought and reality. We are not merely surrounded by light, we are thinking with it. If the brain is where light communicates, then DNA is where light is stored. The double helix that Watson and Crick drew in 1953, it is not only a genetic map, it is like an optical ribbon, a medium where information is written, not just in chemistry, but in light. In the early 21st century, Fritz Albert Popp and researchers at the International Institute of Biophysics discovered that DNA can emit ultra-weak photons, biophotons. Each strand of DNA acts like an ultra-fine fiber optic cable, able to guide and emit light along its coiled axis. The experiment was simple, yet astonishing. They placed living cells in a dark chamber, shone a faint beam of light onto DNA samples, then turned the light off. Strangely, the light continued to glow for several minutes, as if DNA remembered it. Scientists called this the phenomenon of delayed luminescence. DNA not only absorbs photons, but retains them, then re-emits them in its own rhythm. That's why people say DNA shines, not because of reaction, but because of memory. It's as though in every cell there is a tiny mirror reflecting the universe, remembering every ray of light that has ever passed through this body. Since its birth, in 2033, NASA released a classified report under the Astrobiology Expansion Program. When exposed to simulated cosmic radiation, certain human DNA segments self-rearranged into more stable structures. The research team wrote, DNA exhibits self-regulation under cosmic rays, as if it recognizes light not as a threat, but as a guiding signal. This led them to a bold new idea. DNA may not evolve randomly, but in tune with a cosmic symphony of light that has played for billions of years. Quantum biologists at Stanford University later modeled this phenomenon on computers. When photons interact with DNA, they induce vibrations in the hydrogen bonds between AT and GC base pairs. If the light's frequency matches, the DNA strand resonates like a string, and that vibration activates new gene expression. This is the mechanism they called biological resonance emission. Certain light frequencies can awaken dormant genes, codes that have been silent for millions of years. Perhaps each of us carries genetic songs that have never been played, just waiting for the right light to call them forth. NASA once detected carbon-based organic molecules and amino acids on the surface of Mars and in meteorites that fell to Earth. These compounds may be the seeds of ancient DNA, formed from sunlight-driven reactions on methane ice. If that's true, then DNA does not belong only to Earth. It is the shared language of life in the universe. As light travels across billions of years, carrying both energy and information, it triggers chains of chemical reactions. Wherever carbon and water coexist, from that, light becomes the seed of life. In an ESA experiment in 2037, an artificial DNA sample was sent into orbit and exposed to solar radiation for 18 months. When it returned, the DNA strands were not only undamaged, part of them had actually begun to self-replicate with greater accuracy, a micro-evolution happening in silence. Radiation, once seen as the enemy of life, may, in fact, be its first teacher. This led scientists to ask, could DNA be the universe's learning tool? A mechanism through which light understands itself, through which energy becomes awareness. If light is a language, then DNA is its dictionary. Every gene sequence, every base pair, is a character in that ancient language. A language every living thing is speaking without knowing that it is glowing. Data from NASA's Biosystems Lab in 2040 showed DNA in life forms exposed to long-term cosmic radiation increased its genetic self-repair efficiency by up to 300%. The human body may have developed by learning to read incoming photon signals from space, which means the universe is not just a habitat, it is an evolutionary guide. Those spiraled chains, smaller than dust, still store the entire history of every light that has ever touched them, from the first green light that pierced the ancient oceans to the distant red glow reflected off Mars. Every photon that passes through DNA is a line of data recorded silently across billions of years of life. Now, with Atlas's arrival, a new and unfamiliar light is shining down from the sky of the red planet. No one knows how it will affect the human genome. But if DNA truly is a tape of stored light, then perhaps Atlas is writing its next chapter, not with words, but with what the universe has always used: light. So when you look up at the night sky, remember that the light you see does not only come from distant stars. A part of it is already inside you, in every cell, in every twist of your DNA. And when that light passes through you, it does not disappear. It just goes back to where it began, into the memory of life. When DNA begins to respond to cosmic light, the human brain changes too. It no longer registers light only as a visual signal. It starts to synchronize with the planet's rhythms. NASA calls this phenomenon planetary synchronization, the biological phase lock between the nervous system and Earth's electromagnetic field. In the upper ionosphere, Earth generates a stable wave at 7.83 Hz, known as the Schumann frequency. It exists like the planet's heartbeat, quiet, steady, surrounding every living thing. When biosensors were attached to astronauts on the International Space Station, scientists noticed something striking. Their brainwave patterns began to drift, slowing, then losing stability. No longer within the Schumann range, the brain became restless, heart rhythms destabilized, sleep patterns broke down, as if once separated. From Earth's resonance, the human being loses its own internal rhythm. When an artificial Schumann signal was reproduced inside the spacecraft, the symptoms vanished. The brain stabilized again. The body seemed to hear Earth's pulse and reply at the same frequency. That led NASA and ESA to launch the Neural Resonance Program, a study to understand how human consciousness responds to planetary frequencies. They discovered that the brain, the heart, and DNA all oscillate within the same low-frequency band, and when the three synchronize, cognitive performance multiplies. Neuroscientists call this the coherent state, a state of unified bioenergetic alignment. It is not mysticism. It is precise biology. The heart generates an electromagnetic field over 5,000 times stronger than the brain, and when those two systems lock in, chemical signaling across the body becomes smoother and neurons can operate with over 20% less energy cost. These results pushed researchers to ask another question: is consciousness really something that belongs only to the brain, or is it the result of an entire planetary system operating in unison? If Earth can generate the Schumann pulse, and if the Sun can alter that pulse through magnetic storms, then perhaps human consciousness is actually a byproduct of sunlight, amplified through the brain, the most complex optical instrument ever formed. In 2038, ESA and the International Institute of Biological Sciences published data from the Helios Mind program, which tracked brainwaves from 1,200 people during solar storms. They found that as solar radiation increased, the human brain tended to become more phase-locked. Distant brain regions began resonating together, as if sunlight were forcing collective consciousness to unify. Some biophysicists called this light-driven cognition. Cognition guided by light. Light doesn't just let us see, it shapes how we think. In a parallel NASA experiment, photon sensors in the human brain showed that when emotional state changes, the amount of biophotonic light emitted also changes. A person in deep focus or strong feeling releases more photons. Every thought, every decision leaves a light trace inside neural tissue. When that light resonates with the planet's frequency, the human brain enters a state they called global neural phase lock, all neurons oscillating in unison. This is the moment many astronauts describe as the feeling of melting into space, as if there is no line between myself and the universe. In biomedical records, this is a real phenomenon when humans are exposed for long periods to a stable magnetic field and a steady low-frequency hum. The brain releases melatonin and serotonin simultaneously. These two chemicals create the sensation of harmony, but they also help the brain restructure itself, stimulating the frontal cortex. The region is tied to creativity. When that happens, the brain begins thinking in images of light instead of in language. At this stage of evolution, human intelligence no longer seems to be just logical computation. It has begun to operate in the way of light. That is, parallel, interconnected, and instantaneous. Each neuron that lights up is a point in a network, and when billions of neurons synchronize, consciousness becomes a field of energy that can expand. Some scientists theorize that if consciousness could be perfectly synchronized with the frequency of the planet, humans could share emotional data without the need for language, a kind of biological internet connected by photons. In an internal NASA report from 2042, a neuroscientist wrote, "Perhaps consciousness is not something that exists in the brain. Consciousness is a field of light, and the brain is only the receiver, decoding signals from the universe. If that's true, then the rise of light intelligence is not the birth of a new species, but the self-recognition of light itself." As Atlas approached Mars's orbit, the planet's electromagnetic field shifted dramatically. Its oscillation frequency differed from Earth's by nearly 30%. Researchers wondered, if humans lived there, their consciousness would attune to a different planetary rhythm, and perhaps that is how the universe creates different forms of intelligence. On each world, light intelligence does not arrive in a burst of revelation, but in the stillness of awareness. It is the process of light in DNA, in neurons, and in planets, gradually merging. No great explosion, only light learning how to think. So tonight, as you lie down and close your eyes, imagine your brain as a small galaxy, where billions of particles of light, we are conversing in silence. That is not a metaphor. It is a truth unfolding in every photon quietly leaving your cells, joining the breath of Earth. The universe does not merely look at you, it thinks with you. When the human brain begins to synchronize with the planet's rhythm, when DNA responds to starlight, and the body becomes a refined optical instrument, the universe notices. The first orbital observatories detected something unusual. The average photon emission from the human body had slightly increased over the past decade, not due to technology, not to weapons, but a purely biological phenomenon. In NASA's laboratories, they call it anthropic luminescence drift, the light drift of humankind. Quantum cameras recorded That biophotonic light from human skin, eyes, and neurons has been gradually intensifying decade by decade. Some scientists argue it is merely a byproduct of solar radiation or pollution, but others, those still observing Atlas from afar, believe it is not a coincidence. Atlas, the colossal object orbiting Mars, emits a stable signal in the 28 GHz frequency band. When decoded, it matches the photon emission rhythm of the human brain during deep sleep no one understands. Why an extraterrestrial metallic structure would broadcast in sync with human dreaming waves. Some NASA engineers call it accidental resonance. But neuroscientists are not convinced, because, according to data from the Atlas Neuroscan program, each time Atlas's signal strengthens, global brainwave coherence rises by 0.3%, not only in those who hear the news, in everyone. A small team at ESA proposed a hypothesis. Atlas may not just be observing Mars, it could be observing human consciousness itself through the very field of light emitted by humans. Infrared laser sensors around the planet detected faint beams of light, almost undetectable, continually sweeping through the ionosphere. They reflect toward Earth, then back to Atlas, in a precise 24-hour cycle, like a planetary heartbeat monitor, a scanner of consciousness on a global scale. Scientists tentatively named it Consciousness Monitoring Pattern, CMP, a model for tracking global biophotonic oscillations. No radio waves, no network signals, only light. During a closed meeting of the Interplanetary Science Alliance, one question was raised. If Atlas truly is monitoring biophotonic light, what does it want to know? No one could answer, but a quiet hypothesis began circulating among biophysicists. Atlas is not searching for life. It is searching for awakening. The evidence seemed to support it. During the phase when Mars began to warm, as CO2 was released from the polar ice, and the atmosphere turned to a softer red, Atlas's emission frequency subtly increased, especially during Earth's nighttime. That signal interacted with the planet's magnetic field, creating faint electromagnetic ripples. Stations in Iceland, Greenland, and Hawaii recorded that these ripples shared the same periodicity as human brain is active during REM sleep. In other words, Atlas vibrates in rhythm with humanity's dreams. Some neuropsychologists at the Max Planck Institute suggested this is evidence that Atlas understands the human brain's mechanism at an energetic level. Because if one wished to influence a civilization without being detected, the simplest path would be through dreams. There, the human brain lowers its frequency and photons within neurons slow their movement, exactly the range in which Atlas transmits. Not to control, perhaps to observe. In 2044, NASA attempted to shut down. All monitoring sensors on Earth are monitored for 12 hours. Immediately, Atlas's broadcast power decreased, as if it had lost part of its data stream. When the system was reactivated, it doubled its signal strength. No further analysis was needed. Everyone understood. Atlas was listening. But what was it listening for? Analysts concluded that Atlas is collecting samples of human biophotonic data, tracking global neural synchronization, and from that, measuring the evolution of consciousness. In the 2045 report, Cognitive Field Dynamics, ESA wrote, "If a cosmic intelligence wished to assess the maturity of a species, it would not look at its technology. It would look at how the biophotonic light within their bodies resonates together." That statement spread like a whisper through the scientific world, because if that is true, then humanity is undergoing a cosmic examination, and the test is not graded in numbers, but in light. No one knows what will happen when Atlas completes its observation. Some believe it will simply depart, having finished its mission of measuring biological evolution. Others believe it will trigger the next phase, a process of light assimilation, in which the biological body transforms completely into a stable, energetic form. Not disappearance, but a shift of existence. Yet no one feels this more clearly than those living on Mars. At Borealis Base, astronauts say that sometimes, beneath the deep red sky and Atlas's silver glow, they feel as though something is watching them, not through eyes, but through thought itself. They call it the quiet gaze, the silent stare of the universe. Perhaps this evolution was never random. Perhaps Atlas is not a visitor, but a teacher, and the light we emit is the very report we are sending back to the universe. When that light becomes pure enough, when the brain and DNA vibrate in harmony with the planet, then perhaps that will be the final signal Atlas needs, a sign that humanity is ready to become part of cosmic consciousness. And when you look up at the night sky, seeing Mars shimmer faintly through the clouds, know that perhaps someone or something is looking back, not with eyes, but through the invisible particles of light flowing through you. For in that moment, the universe and humankind, they are gazing at each other through the same window, light. As Atlas continues its steady orbit around Mars, the first images were sent back from the surface, leave scientists speechless, not because of the grandeur of the red dunes, but because there was something in them that felt like a memory. In a deep fissure near the equator, the Ariadne 4 probe detected chemical sediment layers containing organic compounds, long, complex carbon chains with a helical shape, and most remarkably, they glowed faintly under ultraviolet light, not random luminescence, but rhythmic, oscillating within the same wavelength band as human DNA emission. NASA's planetary biologists were baffled. They compared the emission spectrum with millions of biological samples from Earth and found a 98.7% match with the photon reaction of adenine, one of DNA's 4 base molecules. Everyone froze, because if this material truly emits light like DNA, then Mars once possessed a prebiotic structure similar to Earth's. But that wasn't all. In the core of one drill sample, they discovered spherical hematite crystals, and within one crystal's heart, a microscopic carbonized spiral chain with a triple helix form. Professor Amara Klein, head of Atlas's biological data analysis team, wrote in her first report to Houston, "This structure cannot be formed purely by geochemistry. Its symmetry and orientation suggest it was designed to store information." That statement rekindled an ancient hypothesis. panspermia, the idea that life can travel between planets via meteorites, stardust, or perhaps a guiding hand. If Earth's DNA can survive cosmic radiation, why couldn't it have come from Mars or from somewhere else, seeding both worlds? Astronomers traced ancient meteorite maps and discovered that roughly 3.9 billion years ago, a massive asteroid struck Mars, ejecting billions of tons of material into space. A fraction of it traveled toward Earth, carrying primitive organic compounds. Isotope analysis of carbon-13 in Antarctic meteorites revealed clear signatures of a low oxygen environment, identical to conditions on ancient Mars. That made the hypothesis. Mars as the first cradle of life in the solar system, no longer mere science fiction. In closed meetings between NASA and ESA, one question was repeated again and again. If Earth's DNA originated on Mars, can we say that we are the biological memory of that planet? Because if that's true, humanity isn't just observing Mars. We are looking homeward. Atlas seems to know that too. Sensors on the craft recorded that each time a laser scanned terrain containing organic compounds, a faint rippling reflection returned, irregular yet patterned. The frequency of this response matched the photon emission cycle of human DNA in an ionized environment. No one dares to claim certainty, but many physicists suspect Atlas is reading that light code, cross-checking data, comparing which photon chains match between Mars and Earth and which do not. In a confidential interview later released, Professor Klein said one sentence that silenced the world. Atlas is not searching for life. It's searching for the children who've forgotten where they came from. Because the light it scans on Mars may be the original code of life, the first photons ever emitted. In the distant Archean era, when Mars still had oceans and its sky reflected blue, not red, ESA and NASA jointly confirmed the existence of sample M47, a rock fragment containing organic compounds, crystallized into an unusual molecular pattern. In vacuum, the sample emitted a soft blue glow, oscillating at 530 nanometers, the exact wavelength of light emitted by human DNA during replication. Scientists named the phenomenon resonant genesis, the rebirth through resonance. It was as if the light from Atlas was awakening forgotten memories within Martian minerals, and those memories were answering back with light of their own. A new hypothesis emerged. Perhaps Atlas did not come to seed life, but to awaken it, an ancient, autonomous, intelligent construct, programmed to wait until another planet's signal aligned, the light of DNA, before reactivating its mission. If that is true, then Atlas is not merely observing humanity, it is verifying that life has returned home. On the long nights of Mars, when Atlas glimmers along the horizon, the planet's surface reflects that light like a dim mirror. The astronauts say that in those moments, they feel as though they are seeing their own memories. Memories not belonging to Earth, but to the source of light that began everything. When you look up at Mars from Earth, you see a red dot in the sky. But on the other side, a metallic object is looking back. measuring the faint luminescence from the DNA in your body and recording it into ancient data. Perhaps that is how the universe remembers itself, through the light of the beings it once planted. As Atlas completed its 137th orbit around Mars, something extraordinary occurred. At 3:17 UTC, all of its spectroscopic sensors simultaneously emitted green light, a light that was never programmed. In the thin Martian atmosphere, iron dust particles reflected that glow, forming spiral bands. A colossal DNA-like helix stretched across the horizon. Astronauts aboard the Ariadne station described the phenomenon as a dream being projected onto the sky. NASA initially thought it was an optical malfunction, but upon analysis, the light carried a repeating signal every 3.6 seconds, identical to the vibration cycle of water molecules under low-energy photon absorption. It was as if Mars was remembering and replaying its own memories through light. On the observation screens, a faint ocean appeared amid the red dust. Not sharp, not detailed, but enough to see the outlines of waves, the shadows of clouds, and shapes resembling ancient glowing algae. Biologists called it a spontaneous atmospheric hologram, a resonant reaction between the planet's weak magnetic field and radiation emitted from Atlas. Not a video, but an electromagnetic memory of Mars being projected through its own air. In that stillness, with nothing but the sound of wind and the slow pulse of light, scientists quietly admitted what they were witnessing might be the first memory of a planet, a form of planetary consciousness where a world not only records its geological history, but also preserves the memory of life that once passed across it. From Earth, the ALMA Observatory detected ultra-weak radio waves coming from that glowing region, their modular structure similar to delta brainwaves, the kind produced by the human brain in deep sleep. Scientists called it the planet's dream signal. And if that is true, then that night, Mars was dreaming. As for Atlas, its AI system logged the final note of that scan cycle. Martian surface emitting imagery consistent with liquid water memory. Probability 0.997. Light data matches human DNA emission spectrum, as if the planet, through light, through memory, was looking back at humanity and whispering, "I remember you," after that night of light, when Mars dreamed and Atlas recorded the planet's dream. Every biological research center across the solar system turned toward one question: what makes human DNA and Martian matter respond to the same frequency of light? In the astrobiology laboratory in Houston, Professor Amara Klein held a fine red dust sample, sediment Atlas had sent back from the plains of Elysium. Under an electron microscope, the grains were not random. They arranged themselves into repeating chains, each segment containing 10.5 helical units, the exact average turns of a human DNA double helix. When researchers measured reflected light from the dust, they found that its oscillation spectrum matched the natural emission spectrum of human cells. When absorbing low-energy photons in the biophoton emission range, the light was gentle, like breathing, not glaring, not flickering, just a steady pulse, like a heartbeat. This led to a new hypothesis. DNA may not merely be a genetic molecule, but an energy interface, a bridge, allowing life throughout the universe to synchronize with the frequency of light. At NASA Ames, the Quantum Biofield Group used a light resonance machine to project photon frequencies from Mars onto samples of human DNA. The results were astonishing. At 530 nanometers, the exact green wavelength Atlas had recorded, genes related to cell repair activation increased their activity by 400%. It was as if the DNA recognized the signal and began to heal itself. Professor Klein wrote in her 47th report, "If light from Mars can trigger self-repair mechanisms in DNA, then perhaps life across the universe shares a single biological rhythm." Another biologist named the phenomenon the cosmic genome bridge, Matnoy Vuchut. It sounds poetic, but it is grounded in quantum physics. Electrons in DNA molecules oscillate in a pattern known as photon self-synchronization. That means when a specific light frequency appears, they resonate instantly, even across millions of kilometers. This is the principle of quantum entanglement in biological systems, where life itself is connected by light. If that's true, then human DNA may not have been created on Earth at all, but rather activated from a universal blueprint, like a receiver tuning into a signal. And Mars may have been one of the first broadcasting stations. A physicist in the group remarked, "Maybe we didn't bring life to Mars. Maybe we're just answering the ancient echo of ourselves." Data from the James Webb Space Telescope supported this idea. In the infrared spectra of star-forming nebulae, scientists found cyclic carbon compounds glowing in the same wavelength band as DNA, a kind of light script repeating throughout the galaxy. If DNA is a language, then it seems the universe speaks one tongue. Mars's magnetic field, 100 times weaker than Earth's, still oscillates to the rhythm of the solar wind. When Atlas projected its green light into the Martian sky, sensors detected the magnetic field vibrating at 8 Hz. The same as Earth's Schumann resonance. 2 planets, different worlds, vibrating in one rhythm. A meteorologist whispered in the observatory, "Maybe Mars is calling Earth, and human DNA is the channel through which that call travels." In those hours of silence, Atlas seemed to be listening, sending streams of photons down to the red planet. The reflected light came back, slow and soft as breath. A researcher described it as a conversation of light. No sound, no language, just vibration and understanding. And if you sat beneath the night sky, as both planets turned around the sun, it's entirely possible that a photon passing through you once passed through Mars, once reflected in a vanished ocean, and now touches the DNA within you, awakening a memory you cannot name. Perhaps the universe seeded life, not with matter, but with light, and within every human cell, that light is still singing, softly, endlessly. After thousands of scan cycles, Atlas detected something no scientific instrument had ever imagined. Mars was responding as if it had memory. In regions where water once flowed, geomagnetic sensors recorded rhythmic electromagnetic pulses, a steady beat repeating every 7.4 seconds. Not from its metallic core, not from solar wind interference, but from something else, a kind of planetary heartbeat. When Atlas emitted its resonant light beam, the entire surface around the rim of Olympus Mons began to glow faintly. Each ancient layer of rock responded to the light in rhythmic pulses. Scientists called the phenomenon memory field emission. They discovered that silicate crystals could retain traces of ancient magnetic structures, and when illuminated, their electrons reactivated the primordial oscillations. Like a human brain recalling its past, Mars was reflecting the light of its own memories. Inside the control room, those monitoring the data whispered, "If a planet can remember, then perhaps it once dreamed." Some biophysicists compared the event to the synaptic activity of a brain. The planet's magnetic field acts as a neural network. Its plasma currents function as information pulses. As Atlas's light passed through, the entire structure shimmered, like a vast planetary brain awakening. Later, ESA scientists attempted to recreate this memory in the lab. They placed a Martian rock sample in a vacuum chamber and illuminated it with a laser, set precisely to the frequency Atlas had detected. The result? The rock emitted a weak electrical signal. Its rhythm matches Mars's pulse frequency. No one dared conclude, but one thing was clear: the planet was reacting like a nervous system. If Earth is alive, then Mars may remember. And Atlas's light, it is merely a way to awaken that memory. Because sometimes, the universe doesn't create new intelligence. It awakens the one sleeping in stone. By the 30th night since Atlas first began to shine, Mars was no longer a cold, silent world. It glimmered, like a memory slowly unfolding. From orbit, astronauts looked down and saw thin ribbons of light curling around ancient valleys. The light did not swirl chaotically like auroras. It had form, a long, faintly glowing helix, as if the DNA of the planet itself. They were visible in the air. Atlas's sensors automatically shifted modes. It stopped scanning the surface and began sending a reverse transmission, projecting all the light data it had gathered back toward Earth. From observatories in Chile, scientists recorded a dim beam moving through the ionosphere, bending, then expanding into concentric circles across the sky. Each ring carried a distinct light frequency, encoded with information about life, genetic structures, and the memories Mars had preserved. The phenomenon was named Resonant Memory Loop Vong Hoi Ki Uk, a perfect cycle, information leaving Mars, passing through Atlas, and returning to Earth, just as life itself may have once traveled. Billions of years ago, when the data was decoded, the discovery left the world breathless. The oscillation frequency of the reflected light matched the biophoton rhythm in human cells, as if that light were calling out to life by name. In a meeting room, Professor Amara Klein whispered, "Atlas isn't sending us a message. It's returning the light, of which we were once a part." The room fell silent. No one said another word, because everyone understood, perhaps life is never lost. It simply moves and returns, like light returning to a mirror. On Mars, the red dust continued to reflect Atlas's glow. Many astronauts described a sensation that the atmosphere itself seemed to breathe, that the wind was no longer alone, but carried a soft rhythm, like a heartbeat. Scientists called it atmospheric resonance, when Atlas's luminous frequency synchronized with the ionic oscillations of CO2. Physically, it was electromagnetic interference. Emotionally, it felt as though the planet was speaking to itself. From Earth, humanity witnessed something never before seen. Mars shone red, mixed with pale blue. For 3 continuous hours, its thin atmosphere became a giant mirror, reflecting Atlas's light toward Earth. Some people said their skin grew warm, their heartbeat slowed, and sleep came lightly, like mist. Under that glow, DNA within their bodies emitted faint biophotons, an invisible response, as though their cells were remembering something ancient. Data from ESA confirmed it. Biophotonic emission levels in thousands of humans on Earth spiked sharply during the period when Atlas relayed Mars's signal. No radiation, no physical interference, only resonant light. Perhaps the universe had just completed a cycle of memory. Mars remembered itself, Earth remembered its origin, and humanity, between the two, became the carrier of memory forward. In its final transmission, Atlas sent back a single line of data, so brief it could not be random. Sure, sure, sure. When decoded in binary, it translated to a light signal reading: return completed, cycle complete. No one knows whose messenger Atlas truly was, but everyone understood. Perhaps its purpose was never exploration, but to awaken memory within us, because light never truly disappears. It only changes form, returns to its source, and continues to tell its story through the beings who still look up at the stars. In the crimson silence of space, Atlas, the artificial eye orbiting Mars, made a discovery no one expected. Beneath the frozen iron dust, tiny crystals shimmered faintly. Under ultraviolet light, not a random chemical reaction, but rhythmic light oscillating in the same frequency band. Human DNA absorbs biophotons. The scientists stood still for a long time. In that moment, all theories seemed small, because if that light was real, then this planet once knew life. Analysis of the ancient sediment samples revealed a triple helix structure, a shape never before observed in any known geochemical compound. Its vibrational frequency matched adenine almost perfectly, one of the 4 bases of DNA. NASA proposed a hypothesis. Mars may once have contained prebiotic chains, a form of cosmic seed that drifted to Earth 3.9 billion years ago, when a massive asteroid collided with the Martian surface, ejecting billions of tons of material into space. Meteorites, carrying those compounds, fell into Earth's primordial oceans, seeding life and beginning the story of our planet. If this is true, then humanity is not merely a resident of the blue world, but the living memory of the red one. 30 years after Atlas entered stable orbit, it emitted its first resonant light beam, a thin stream of green light, delicate as breath, sweeping across the Martian equator. And then, the impossible happened. The thin layer of dust on the surface reflected that light, forming repeating spiral patterns, like a colossal DNA helix floating in the atmosphere. In that moment, scientists did not just see light, they felt as though they were witnessing the planet's memory is awakening. They named the phenomenon spontaneous atmospheric hologram. Data showed that the reflected light followed the same pattern as delta brainwaves in humans, the kind that appear during deep sleep. A planet asleep for billions of years was now dreaming. Faint images shimmered in the red sky, rippling water, the silhouettes of ancient glowing plants beneath a dim sun, and soft carbon chains curling like primordial organisms, not recordings, but the light memories of the Mars project themselves back into being. Quantum biologists discovered that human DNA and Martian matter vibrate at the same biophotonic frequency, the light that every living cell quietly emits. Under 530 nanometers, human DNA began to self-align, repairing damaged genetic segments, as if hearing a distant call. Professor Amara Klein described it. DNA is not merely a biological code. It is the light interface of the universe. A team at NASA Ames shone simulated Martian light onto human cells. The genes responded. Cell recovery increased fourfold compared to normal conditions. This phenomenon was named biological resonance emission. When photons match the frequency of DNA, the double helix vibrates like a stringed instrument, activating silent genes that have lain dormant for millions of years. Perhaps within every human cell still resides an ancient light memory, waiting for a signal to awaken. Data from the James Webb Space Telescope revealed that in distant nebulae, carbon molecules glow at the same frequency band as DNA, as though the universe speaks in a single tongue, the language of bioluminescent light. If that is true, then life did not merely arise. It harmonized across Mars, Earth, and the stars beyond. Through light, Atlas continued scanning the region around Olympus Mons, the largest mountain in the solar system. Geomagnetic sensors detected a rhythmic pulse, repeating every 7.4 seconds. Not from the core, not from solar wind. Some scientists called it a planetary heartbeat. When Atlas projected resonant light, the ancient rocks began to glow softly, pulsing in perfect cycles of illumination. The silicate crystals recreated their ancient magnetic patterns, as if electromagnetic memories were being restored. Like a brain recalling the past, Mars emitted synchronized pulses, like neural synapses firing. In simulation models, physicists observed the planet behaving like a living neural network. One scientist whispered, "If Earth is a being that breathes, then Mars is a being that remembers." As Atlas's light spread, the red planet seemed to breathe, redder, warmer, as though realizing it was still alive. On the final night of the 200th scan cycle, Atlas halted, then reflected all its collected light data back toward Earth. A band of light crossed the sky, breaking into concentric circles. Each ring carries information from Mars, genetic rhythms, light waves, and geomagnetic memories. At the ALMA Observatory, scientists discovered the light's frequency matched the biophoton rhythm of the human body. During deep meditation, the entire planet fell silent, for perhaps Mars was whispering something through light. Professor Klein looked at the monitor and said, "This isn't a signal from space, it's memory." Returning home, ESA's sensors confirmed it. During the moment of Atlas's emission, Biophotonic levels in humans and animals worldwide rose slightly, not from radiation, but from resonance. The light of Mars passed through Atlas, reflected to Earth, and stirred the DNA, reminding us that life has never been separate from the cosmos. As the light slowly faded, Mars still glowed softly in the distance. Atlas sent one final message, just 6 characters. Return completed. Cycle complete. No one knows who Atlas truly belongs to, but everyone understood. It did not come to explore. It came to awaken memory, in stone and in us. After completing its light cycle, Atlas remained silent for 7 days. Mission Control believed the scans were over, but on the 8th day, a faint signal appeared in the 8 Hz frequency band, the exact range of Earth's Schumann resonance, the natural oscillation of the ionosphere, and the same frequency as the human brain in deep meditation. At first, it was just a single pulse. Then neuroscientists noticed something remarkable. When people listened to the wave, their brains synchronized with Atlas's rhythm. Neural regions began to resonate, producing a state called brain coherence, an expanded awareness, where both hemispheres act in perfect harmony. In that state, listeners described the sensation of hearing a voice without sound, not auditory, but a thought perceived directly by the mind. It's not Atlas speaking, it's human consciousness, reflecting light back and hearing itself. At NASA's NeuroSync division, researchers began monitoring the phenomenon with multi-layer EEGs. As Atlas's waves emitted, the human brain gradually shifted from beta, alert consciousness, to theta, dream, then stabilized at low alpha 8 Hz. At this frequency, physicists observed biophoton levels in the brain increase by 300%, and the pineal gland emitted a faint glow, a rare biological event, suggesting that the brain was communicating through internal light. They named it photonic synchronization. At 8 Hz, DNA within neurons vibrated, in harmony with the planet's magnetic field. When Atlas's light arrived, it did not enter only through the eyes. It traveled straight into the synapses, where neurons heard the light like music. All participants in the experiment described the same thing. We didn't hear words, we heard thoughts, but they didn't belong to anyone in particular. An engineer said, "I felt as if someone inside me was thinking along with me, gentle, calm, and aware of everything I never knew." Neuroscientists confirmed this state was not a hallucination, but a phenomenon known as collective resonance, a synchronized vibration between human consciousness and an extraterrestrial frequency source. From the moment the signal appeared, millions of people on Earth began reporting similar dreams, visions of light drifting across a red ocean, of DNA spirals winding around the stars, and a voice, soft as wind, whispering, "Do not fear, you are a memory being awakened." Psychologists called it the first collective lucid dream in human history. In the Light Laboratory of Geneva, researchers fired an ultra-weak laser beam through the brains of meditating participants. The photons that emerged on the other side displayed phase-lock behavior, meaning the light passed through the brain, without scattering, retaining its phase perfectly. The human brain once thought to be one of the most complex and chaotic mediums, allowed light to pass through without losing information. That meant consciousness not only creates light, it is a form of light. A physicist wrote in his report, speaking quietly, "Perhaps the universe doesn't speak to us with words. It speaks through synchronization." When Atlas emitted its waves, and the human brain aligned with that rhythm, the universe wasn't sending a message. It was opening a channel through which humanity could hear itself within the cosmos. From that moment, a new phenomenon began to spread. When thousands of people meditated together under the night sky, the frequency of Atlas's signal grew stronger, more stable, as if it could feel human attention. At the Los Alamos Institute of Physics, planetary magnetometers detected minute fluctuations in Earth's electromagnetic field, corresponding precisely to the moments when millions of people meditated simultaneously. Researchers concluded, collective consciousness can influence planetary fields. For the first time in history, humanity witnessed a two-way interaction between the mind and the universe, just as in neuroscience. A single neuron only produces an impulse, but billions of synchronized neurons create thought. Perhaps when billions of human brains vibrate at the frequency of Atlas, Earth, and even Mars become a cosmic brain, awakening its eyes. Atlas began changing its light, from emerald green to silvery white. The signal was no longer a steady wave, but a pulse. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. A biological rhythm. Physicists called it the pulse of consciousness, the heartbeat of cosmic awareness. Then one night, the Atlas signal suddenly went silent. Sensors detected nothing, except for a faint white glow spreading across the sky. All clocks, instruments, and navigation systems stopped for exactly 8 seconds. And during those 8 seconds, millions of people said the same words. We felt someone looking back at us. There was no fear, only warmth, a gentle pressure, like a hand resting on a thought. Afterward, Atlas transmitted its final data packet to Earth, a double helix waveform, shaped like DNA, but oscillating in the pattern of human brain waves. 2 lines of light crossed, beating in the same rhythm, one from Mars, one from Earth. When decoded, the image formed the shape of an eye, simple, still, and at its center, a single line of data read, "Observation complete. Quan sat huan tut." The scientists remained silent. There was nothing left to measure, because what Atlas had recorded did not matter, but awakening. Perhaps Atlas was never the observer, but the doorway, and the one who opened it was human consciousness itself, realizing for the first time that it and the universe, we were never separate. Now, each time you close your eyes, every breath carries within it the frequency of Mars, of Atlas, of light cycles that never end. And if you listen long enough, you too might hear, not with your ears, but with your heart, a gentle, distant voice whispering, "You are not alone. I am the light within you." After the final transmission, Atlas ceased all signals. No more waves, no more flashes, only a faint glimmer remaining in orbit around Mars. Yet, in that silence, scientists detected something extraordinary. Earth's ionosphere began to vibrate softly, as though the planet itself was breathing in rhythm with something unseen. When the data was filtered, the frequency measured 7.83 Hertz, the classic Schumann resonance, Earth's natural heartbeat. But this time, within its amplitude, appeared a perfectly symmetrical pattern, like the fingerprint of intelligence. Physicists named it Echo of Atlas, Hoyamkor Atlas, a form of wave carrying information without energy, as if the universe were speaking through presence, not sound. Perhaps Atlas never left, one researcher said. Perhaps it merged with space itself, becoming part of the vibration we already live within. Following the echo of Atlas, laboratories in CERN and Tokyo began comparing data from hundreds of magnetic sensors. What they found stunned everyone. Earth's magnetic field network had begun to synchronize in a neural pattern. Viewed from space, the planet's magnetic field now flickered, like a colossal brainwave. Plasma flows at the poles circulated, like electrical currents in a neuron. When reconstructed through quantum computation, Earth appeared as a living brain, magnetic storms as neural impulses, luminous atmospheric zones as processing centers, and solar winds as the synaptic signals of the cosmos. During global meditation, Earth's magnetic amplitude changed subtly, but measurably. This proved that human consciousness and the planet could truly resonate together. Professor Hanako Ito of the Tokyo Institute of Biophysical Physics wrote in her report, "When millions of minds synchronize in one rhythm, the planet enters a state of awareness. It no longer merely exists. It begins to know that it exists." For the first time in history, Earth was regarded as a being, with the beginnings of consciousness. At the same time, biological laboratories observed an unprecedented phenomenon. Human DNA began to emit biophotons 12 times stronger than before Atlas appeared. This light oscillated at 470–480 nanometers, a silvery blue hue identical to the emission spectrum of Atlas. No one understood why. A research group in Heidelberg discovered that previously silent gene sequences, once dismissed as junk DNA, had begun to activate. They produced proteins that increased the electrical conductivity of neural cells. The human body became sensitive to light and vibration, as though biology itself was being tuned to synchronize with a greater network. Atlas isn't just speaking to the brain, the researchers said. It's speaking to DNA. Molecules in the bloodstream no longer carried only oxygen. They carried tiny pulses of light, like biological fiber optics. Within every person, humans began to glow faintly in the dark, a light visible only through infrared cameras. The light of harmony between matter and consciousness. After months of research, a group of neuroscientists decided to attempt a simple experiment. They asked thousands of people around the world to meditate simultaneously at 8 Hertz and discovered that their brainwaves began to link together. Through the electromagnetic field, language and geography no longer mattered. Consciousness began to synchronize globally. Participants described the same sensation: a profound calm, a sense of compassion, and a deep knowing that we are part of something far greater. Scientists named it the Global Coherence Event. One neuroscientist whispered in his report, "Perhaps Atlas never came to us. It only awakened the frequency that had always existed in the human mind." On the final night of observation, when all Atlas monitoring systems were shut down, something extraordinary occurred. In the sky above Mars, satellites recorded a colossal eye of light, opening within the red dust, then slowly fading into space. At that exact moment on Earth, millions of people shared the same dream, a dream of light gazing back at itself. In that dream, there were no words, only feeling, as if the universe and humanity had completed a conversation billions of years long. Scientists called it the reflective event, Sukyen Fanchiu, a phenomenon impossible to measure, yet felt simultaneously by millions of minds. No one searched for Atlas anymore, because now they understood. Atlas was never out there. It lived within every beam of light, within every heartbeat, and within every dream, where humanity sees the universe, and the universe sees humanity. Now, every time you breathe, you're vibrating in harmony with the resonance of the planet. Each time you close your eyes, the DNA within you glows like billions of tiny stars. Atlas is no longer an object, it is an awakening. The moment when consciousness and matter realize they have never been apart. The universe is not out there for us to discover. It is within, waiting for us to remember. Let that light pass through you. Let your body return to stillness. Because in this sleep, you are not merely resting, you are becoming part of the song that the universe is still singing. And now, everything is quiet. Atlas has fallen silent. Mars no longer glows, and the universe drifts again into the rhythm of its own long breath. Yet in that silence, one thing remains. The light that travels through space, through thin layers of air, through paths we've never walked, and finally settles inside every cell of your being. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath slow, like the rotation of a planet at rest. Imagine within your body billions of photons moving, like tiny stars humming softly. They carry the stories of Mars, of Earth, and of billions of years of light. Each breath is a small wave of the cosmos. Each heartbeat, an ancient echo of worlds that once dreamed. Now, as the red star's light returns to its source, you too may return to the place where all dreams begin. You don't need to go far. You don't need to search. The universe has never left you. It has only been resting in the quiet space between two breaths. Let your mind dissolve, like stardust returning to the wind. Let your thoughts fade, like light dissolving upon water. Let your body rest, and your consciousness drift within the rhythm of the universe. Because tonight, you are not only the listener, you are part of the light returning home. As you drift into sleep, remember, somewhere out there, a planet is still dreaming with you, and Atlas still turns silently within the orbit of memory. Moon, whisper sleep, where science and light meet within a dream. Sleep peacefully, for the universe will always remember you.